Cool, we're live. Hey, everybody, this is Dean Ryan, hanging out here with our Q historian, Mr. Matt. Matt, how are you doing?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's been a long, plentiful day and just a surprising week of just breaking news, breaking news at all levels, really. And even before we got on air here, there was just more breaking news. I mean, we have so many things to share with people. Yes, party's in the title, and we like to have fun, but you have to have fun within the darkness. There is some light, there are some silver linings, because if you don't have a little bit of lightheartedness in the darkness, you're gonna go crazy.
Absolutely.
And so let's just get to it. If you saw the Real Deal Report earlier, that was quite a whopper. Our guest did not make it, unfortunately, and maybe next time. But more importantly, we're gonna just forget that even happened, because there's so much important news that we have to know. And so make sure you have your wine and spritzer, your highballs, your olive martini, your apple martini, or your just get your subpoena coladas ready, because this is the Real Deal after party, and that's what we're going to do here. But so let's get started, because people are freaked out. I said it on the show earlier today. People are freaking out, Matt. We have AG Bargon, we have the press and the establishment now saying President Biden. You have Mitch McConnell now standing at the Senate floor and praising his counterpart Joe Biden, say we welcome you, Joe, and we welcome you, Kamala. We can't wait to see you in the new year. So this is almost this false reality at all borders of life right now. It's whether it's the mask, the virus, or just the projected president of the United States. This is just one big masquerade, isn't it?
You couldn't have taken the words more out of my mouth, too, because even just a couple of days ago, I was feeling anxious about a lot of these things. And for me, that's gone away, because this is all feels like such a show to me and such a farce that it's starting to become more comical. Like the censorship on Twitter and Facebook just getting so absurd that it's undeniable. I mean, for those of us who have been, censored over this last 3 years, we're used to a much more subtle version of it. Mm-hmm. That even when you try and tell people you're censored, I found a lot of people wouldn't even really believe me. They would just assume I was, having some glitch or normal error. But now, just like the fact that Twitter puts a label on almost anything Trump tweets anymore. And, it's become a joke on how if you share a video, it'll be, flagged within an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't feel, it's starting to feel surreal. It's starting to feel like it's to the point where it's meant to grab everyone's attention, and it's meant to show everyone which people are left that are denying it's happening. With like the voter fraud, the people who are clinging to a report or a court that says, we're not going to hear this case. But then you see so much, for anybody who's watched the hearings, just an hour of it, it's all you need to see to know that something's really wrong.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's just, we're living in the land of make-believe, really. I mean, Tinseltown, just, whatever your heart's desire, whatever you feel like you are. I mean, you are whatever you say you are, even if you repeat it 1,000 times that you're not, because of reality and nature, biology, science. It doesn't matter, because the establishment, the liberal establishment, whatever you want to call it, they're in control still in their last days of existence here in this spinning globe around the sun. But let's not waste any time here. Let's not mince any words. Let me just tell you what we're trying to gauge here on the Real Deal After Party is not just what are we going to have for our chaser with our whiskey, but we have some really disturbing things from. I want to say this is Code Monkeys, and if you don't know who Code Monkey is, you want to maybe have just a brief synopsis of what that is.
Yeah, Code Monkey is Ron, who ran the HN board until recently. So he's tied into Q from that side of it. Sure. And then as soon as he stopped doing his duties as the board owner. Now he's very active in looking into election fraud, finding things in the Dominion manual and in old videos. And he's been tied with Linwood and Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, so he's a very well-to-do person. Check this out.
And Trump retweeted him the other night. I forgot that. Last night, Trump retweeted Code Monkey. So for anybody who doesn't believe in Q, that's just one more thing you have to deal with.
Here it is. Here it is. So hopefully people, you can see that. Sources at the highest levels confirm something very big will be happening within the next 24 hours. Saddle up. Things are about to get bumpy. Now, he's saying that. Now, here's another source out there in the interwebs with a similar message, mind you. This is, I'm not really familiar with a lot of these people to my own detriment. I'm just so busy into this tunnel vision of real deal everything.
That's good though. I actually like that people come from different directions, because when we enter this story from different directions and meet in the middle, and we can see all these things that correlate from our own explorations of knowledge and the things we've learned, then it helps, because it means we didn't get it from the same place.
Absolutely.
There's a reason we're agreeing on 80% of things.
Now who is this one? I'm not familiar with this, but this might, in similar fashion. Here's another gentleman here, White House, at White House, but with a V instead of the U there. Sources at the highest levels confirm something very big will be happening within the next 24 hours. Saddle up. Things are about to get bumpy. And
I don't know who this account is, but
I agree. Yeah.
Even if he's just parroting Code Monkey, the fact that Code Monkey said it's enough to pay attention.
Sure. And I'm going to be finding out too tonight. I have my feelers out there to my intel people who usually come to me first and tell me what's happening. And I have an idea of what it is, Matt. I really do. I have a inkling of what it is and what it could be. But here's another thing I found of interest, because again, you have these, I'll just play a little clip of this and then I'll reserve my judgment of these people here. And this is Israeli news, and I'm going to reserve any judgment. I'm going to let you do the math here. So Israeli news says Trump sends, Trump sends U.S. Navy to confront Chinese in the Atlantic. Could it be true? Well, let's see what Stephen Ben Nunn says. Here, check it out.
On the Hal Turner show was a bunker buster being used in Maine and being wrote off as just an earthquake, seismic activity, where we killed, according to the estimate that they had on there. When Steve did say he didn't know exactly how many people were killed, but some estimated 50,000 or roughly 50,000 Chinese soldiers in an underground secret bunker there, allegedly, from what I understand, owned by Joe Biden, or at least he's connected to this in some way, killing these Chinese soldiers. Let me read to you some of the things that are written here on the screen, as you can see them already yourself. He says 3 training missions were a raving success, except for the paperwork yet to finish, which explains how live bombs got loaded on the bombers for a training mission. Minor cleanup detail. All targets 100% bullseye, nailed everything. Pilots and crew awarded for precision strikes on the training missions. All Canadians in USA and Mexico Chinese base obliterated the start to finish 1 hour and 45 minutes from first strike. Canadian military woke up super duper fast as the bombs were falling, and they saw nothing until the kaboom underground. It's a group of the top brass told Trudeau that he screwed up, made big time, and may need to exit fast or die.
Okay, so here we'll come back to that, because that just came to me literally right before I came on air, and so they're talking about the bunker busting bombs, alleged bombing of I want to say underground Chinese in Joe Biden's backyard or something like that. And we're totally not saying that's not true. It's just the absurdity of where we are here, and the hour in the game we're playing this at is high risk poker, in the sense that, yes, maybe the establishment, the administration has it all sorted out, but regular people that watch this show, we are really in the 5 minutes to midnight or 2 minutes after midnight kind of mentality. Everybody's tired. They're stressed out. They're tired of having to go to the grocery store to get like bundles of these and getting rationed and limited to. Everybody's mentally exhausted physically. And, you and I were just talking about maybe boarding up and preparing some kind of self-defense in the area where we are currently in the studio we're at currently. So this is a conversation a lot of people are having around the country right now. So here's what it could be. Let me show you one last thing, and then again we'll put the invite out there. In fact, you know what? I'll do that right now, man, because or else I'll forget. But if you want to join the after party here, and just you have a question, want to hang out, want to talk, want to criticize, critique, join the convo. And I haven't really done these things in a long time, Matt. The Real Deal after parties. It's been a while, but because of the where we are in this pandemic, we have to do this more, or at least I do. So here it is. Join the convo, and I'll put that up. Join the convo, and then I'm going to share this, and then I'm going to give you my my thesis, which could probably change tomorrow, but how I'm feeling right now.
On what you think's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it. It's going to be totally out there and bombastic, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that will disagree with me, but it's kind of, I'm going to use my emotions for a change. Isn't that something strange?
No, I like that. That's
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
what I generally run on.
Yeah. So
50%.
Not
emotions, but just
right.
my spidey senses.
Of course, instinct. So here we go. Let's read this one last time, and then I'll put the link up. So here it is leak. Chinese Communist Party members employed at Boeing, HSBC. Well, that's a given. Airbus, Pfizer, AstraZeneca. Isn't that the heartburn disease, or am I totally reading that wrong?
It's a drug company.
Okay, well, I guess it's not the heartburn disease. I'm like, I've used that all the time. So let me just continue here. And here it is. Chinese Communist Party's members embedded themselves in key companies throughout the West. Multiple international news outlets today have confirmed the existence of a list of nearly 2 million Chinese Communist Party members. And we reported this yesterday, but you got to understand, when these come out, it takes like a day, several days for really the true chunk of the information to just dissipate through, the public discourse.
Just say that number again. 2 million.
Yeah, let me repeat that.
2 million.
Not 100,000.
Yeah.
Not 500,000. Not 1 million. Not 1,000,005. No, 2 million.
Yeah.
That's roughly the size of, I want to say, not all of LA, but probably maybe like Austin, Texas, or something like that. Like a huge city of just Communist Party members. So Communist Party members have now, this is also interesting. You go to the Australian, confirm that Australia and New Zealand, shocker, the second largest bank in the world, have at least 23 CCP employees. Yeah, I told you. You watch my late night updates, and you just see the complete takeover of these places, and it's chilling and frustrating and really upsets me. Continuing, the list was extracted from Shanghai server, Chinese dissidents, all this stuff, on and on and on. Okay, so put that to the formula here the picture that I'm making, and I'm not going to play all of the Israeli video, or maybe I will later. Because my problem with Israeli news is the following: is they have 300, and I'll show you if you don't believe me. And they have 325,000 subscribers. Okay, and they talk about like some very hardcore subjects. There it is.
Yeah.
Where is the damn thing? Oh, there it is. Okay, right here, right there. All right, Israeli news. Now, let me just remind you, in case you forgot, these are the same people, because I've been doing this show, The Real Deal Report, since March 18th or 19th, around that time. And so have they, a little shortly thereafter. These people have said that, like Richie in Boston, and all due respect to these people, we all have analysis. Some of it's good, some of it happens differently. But let me just say that these people, just like Richie, have said, oh, everyone's going to round us up. Everyone's going to take us to FEMA camps and force inoculate us, Israeli news said. Then Israeli news said, oh, that the asteroid belt's coming November 3rd, and we should all move to higher ground in the middle of the country. And some people really did that because nobody knows what to believe anymore. And I just want to note that. And then you got to wonder, Matt, how is Israeli news still part of the YouTube untouched family? The YouTube protected family, when all of us, and I don't even have 10,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And they keep unsubscribing people from me left and right. Now, granted, people flagged me, and that's what began the Armageddon on yours truly. But so you gotta ask yourself, why did X-22 get taken off? Why did Red Pill 78? Why did SGT report?
Yeah, we've seen so much censorship now. You have to ask yourself, when someone doesn't get censored, what's going on at this point?
Right. I mean, exactly.
With that many viewers, that many
sure,
followers.
Yeah. And is it because they're being? I'm not trying to, call it none dare call it conspiracy. I'm just begging the question. Anyways,
that's not an account I'd have even heard of before you.
It's quite popular in the YouTube TV industry, I guess we'll call it that. And it looks like a father of an ex-girlfriend of mine many moons ago. That's weird. Anyways, so where is that link? So here's what I think it is, Matt. And Matt's in case you're just joining us, he is our Q historian.
Q guy. I don't even know what the right word is.
He is the Q historian. And I wish I had music to go with your title every time I say it, or a live band, in-house band. So this is what I think it is, Matt, is...
Yeah, where do you think it's going this week?
Now, if you recall, in April, Pompeo was caught on a hot mic saying what we're experiencing here in the Event 201 is a military exercise. Do you recall that?
I don't think I saw that one.
Okay. Let me try to pull that up as I'm talking and try to multitask. Let's see if I can do it. So he was caught in a press conference in the beginning of the April showers, in the beginning of the underground war, join the convo, of saying that this is a exercise we're experiencing. Now, just think about that for a minute. And then Trump responded in the press conference on stage at the White House, I believe in the press room, of saying, well, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
It was so off the cuff, but it almost, knowing how these people work, it could have been scripted. Who knows? So just think about that for a minute. A military drill. Now, what has been the military drill? Keeping people indoors, keeping people masked up. Even Trump promotes the mask. Everyone hates him for that, in a sense. Keeping people out of work, keeping people from socially gathering. And this is across the entire Western world for a military drill. Just think about it. Let's try to dissect this and get deep into it. Now we're finding out that China is heavily involved. Remember, the CCP, 2 million. And I think it was honestly, it was 1.8 million, but, give or take, let's go with 2.
Yeah, there was another document that says 2.4, so there's several numbers floating around.
Oh, God, so maybe it's 2.5.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 2.5, and who knows, for all we know, it could be 3.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the census, it's hard to count.
It's close enough to 2 to call it 2, and that's a scary number.
I almost want to find the clip of "This is just a drill" so I can ingrain it in your head. This is just a drill, and if you remember this, just a drill. A Trump press conference, Pompeo. Okay, if I could spell, that's some of the easiest words are hard to spell. Conference, Pompeo. Let me see if they have it. So yeah, here it is. No, I'm not going to find it. Anyways, but just stay with me. So then we find out things about the South China Sea and how all of our navy's down there, and you have China just totally land grabbing all over the globe right now, while America's bogged down. So here's what I think it is. I think what Trump and this is going far out. I think what they have been preparing us for, Matt, is a World War III with China on and near American soil, especially if this indeed is true. And I don't want to watch it all, but I'm almost tempted to. We can watch the Israeli news. If indeed it's true that that the Chinese Navy are now coming to the United States, and Trump just sent the U.S. Navy naval fleets out there to the Atlantic to confront them and stop them, then what they have been doing with us is to condition us, in a sense, for what they did to our parents and people of that era of the 1950s for the Cold War. Remember the nuclear bomb drills people used to have: duck, roll, go under. This could have been very well been the same exercise and conditioning placed on us for what may be happening here, as Code Monkey said, in the next 24 hours, the next few days, the next several weeks, going up into January. Now, why I'm a little hesitant to just go all the way with it and just present it is because there's all this talk about January 6th and moving the delegates here, moving that, and suing here in the courts. But I know these people, they're on their last leg. And if they think they don't have any more ammo other than to just finally take the mask off and say, okay, we're not the Democrat Party, we're China, then this could have very well been an exercise indeed. And by the way, this is on the heels of now we're getting reports that, the coronavirus is now mutating in minks and other animals and tests. And I'll pull up that article in a minute here. So now they're trying to mutate it. And we know the coronavirus as itself is a weak virus. And I happen to believe that it was because they happened to have arrested Dr. Charles Lieber out of Harvard January 29th in Chicago O'Hare Airport with his two student exchange students who are really CCP, you know me, after all. So I think, no doubt, and I even looked in my journal, everybody, from March, when I was stuck in LA. I looked at it's in March 19th, and I remember I said, I wish I had it, says, "We are in war." And I knew it back then. I could smell it, taste it, and all the things. So it's alarming to me, but it's not surprising. I've been in this war mentality since March of this year. And why don't we bring in somebody real quick, and we'll come back to my thesis, and we'll get to your thesis too, Matt. Don't think that I'm.
Oh no, not at all.
Yeah. I'm just trying to get this out now because I just forget so easily now because of all the stuff going on. So I'm going to bring in Sweet Elizabeth. Sweet Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. And
hello.
we ran out of time on the last broadcast. So thank you for understanding.
Yeah, that's why I hung up. I mean, I didn't want to cut in when y'all were calling it quits. I was actually just calling in right now to discuss what you've brought up and what we were kind of talking about a little bit prior. But I'll start off with what you're talking about right now. Here in where I'm at, here in Houston, we had a Chinese consulate, which was busted.
Yeah,
and they
that was a few months ago, wasn't it? That was like July.
It was back. It was like the beginning of. It was like near the beginning of summer, like late May, almost June.
And it was like the biggest Chinese consulate too.
Yeah,
and they were making.
They were stealing files. They were stealing files.
Yeah, that's where they caught
them.
They
were, and they were right across from where I went to university. They were located in an area that is very school-based, as well as informationally based. So its location was shady when it was finally outed that not only was it going to be shut down, but here's the real deal as to what they had done, which was to steal so much information.
Right.
And, I can only imagine how many of the other student bodies right across the street were doing some of the same stuff, taking information, and stealing stuff from other professors, God knows. But
Sure.
when they did close that one down, that was pretty telling as to just how serious the Chinese grouping of people who look, who hide in plain sight well enough, could have been, already infiltrating so
Mhm.
many other areas, and now it's being brought to light that there are so many being, discovered and
Right.
as actual spies. But I was also wanting to just bring up the fact that when we have this ongoing discussion of who's really going to be president, my biggest worry is now
Uh-huh.
the possible prediction of them making it a mandate where if you don't get the vaccine, that you can't work, you can't go places, you can't be part of society, you can't be back in normal, quote unquote, normal life, which is what
Sure.
I think they're trying to take away from in the first place, the, quote unquote, dem side.
Right.
Um, and I worry about that being the main thrust from not just, Biden, but Biden's really just the shell
Uh-huh.
of a spot holder in which that they could be using to infiltrate as much information from the left side as they can. And that's where I'm thinking, man, and seeing his decline even just from 4 years ago says a lot to me, because as somebody who studied psychology
Right.
and
So,
has been around
okay,
people with dementia.
Elizabeth, let me ask
Sorry.
you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, just because I want to get to this mink story too, and I want to add it to the mix here.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, because you're in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been to Houston. I've made no bones about that. It is constantly humid and hot. They should just rename the city humid,
Well, it's
humid all the
cold
time.
tonight, but yes.
Right. So, and I know Houston University and all that stuff is a
Mm-hmm.
big thing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen an influx of, you know, uh, let's just say, let's tell the truth here. Have you seen an influx of like Chinese nationals or whatever buying houses and homes and going to universities
Yes.
and such? And if
10
so,
years ago,
okay.
yes, even just 10 years ago and onward from there is when I really saw it kicking in even more than ever before. And now, with the amount of people that have, the Asian descent, of Chinese descent, the amount of people who have been taking the place of other people's opportunity to get jobs, uh, says a lot about
Hmm.
Houston here, especially in the
Right.
medical center. You have so many who have gotten their foot in. Uh, and again, I mean, it's kind of one of those situations where you wonder, who's a spy, who's not, because you wouldn't know otherwise.
Hmm.
And but yeah, I just did want to bring up about the consulate that was raided and figured out here in Houston. So
Okay, well, that's yes, I do remember that story vividly because I think we covered it at the time. And
mhm.
if you recall, Matt, is when the helicopters and the all the TV crews were going down there,
Yeah.
you saw just fires and you saw the
Hmm.
workers burning the papers.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then it came out in Texas that I can't remember his name. He was a congressman nearby. He was a CCP as well. And the local newswoman on ABC, a local affiliate of ABC, the afternoon news, she
Yes.
was CCP too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Yes.
unbelievable how
Yes.
infiltrated we are as I saw it, God, down the road.
It's not an
You know?
accident that list just came out. It's too
Hmm.
coincidental. We're being prepped for the revelation of how deep this all goes.
Thank you, and I want to
Exactly.
tap on that. And
Exactly. Well
sweet
put.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for calling. And you can call
Yeah.
anytime. And sorry, ran out of minutes there last time, but
Yeah.
hang in there and let us know how that is going down there in Houston. And be safe, will you?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you also know that with the mutation of the virus, there has been a local story from one of the nurses who actually had been already diagnosed and dealt with the virus once, and now
Yeah,
has gotten it for a second time
sure.
with it being mutated. So
Mhm.
I just want to give you that clue as well. So as much as I find out anything new, then I'll keep you updated. But thank
Thank,
you for having me on.
thank you very much. Yeah, please keep us updated. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you
Yeah,
very soon now. And happy
for
holidays.
sure. Yes, same to you. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah. There you have it. That's straight out of Houston. It's not often we speak to Houston out here in California. And, Matt, just like any flu virus that I remember growing up, yeah, it gets stronger every year. The more you vaccinate, the stronger it gets because then it gets resistant to your immune system because it has all the vaccinated chemicals. So it just comes back stronger every time. But I'll tell you, this year, we're now looking back in retrospective stylings here and now kind of thinking, hey, you know what? The original flu could have been a bioweapon the whole time.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just struck by how much people don't talk about what the flu number, the deaths were in previous years. I can't. What is the number? It's like 40 to 60,000 last year. The number.
Oh my
I
God.
hate to quote it without knowing it. I think the CDC numbers for last year were 40 to 60,000, and it's just interesting to me that we don't even talk about that at all. And 200,000 means we have to destroy our economy and watch people commit suicide and overdose and lose their businesses. But 60,000 or whatever means nothing to us.
Yeah, and there's so many numbers and figures, and one of my missions when I started this was to get people to look at the geopolitical spectrum, even if it's just a little bit, so you could just see how dominant this country, China, really is, and is planning on being. So therefore, we had a better understanding of what kind of situation we were in that was greater and grander than just a virus and a mask issue and social distancing. That's just half the battle, if that. So here's another thing we were talking about, mutating. Okay, so here it is.
Here's the numbers from last year, just to have.
Okay, yeah.
24 to 62,000 flu deaths last year from the CDC website. So I just think that's interesting that like the numbers that high.
Yeah.
And it's meaningless, no mask, no shutdowns, no social distancing.
Oh, no. You think we would have shut down the entire world economy because of the flu last year?
Yeah.
Or Zika or pneumonia or I don't know, mono.
Well, and there's so many. It's so hard for everybody who has a statistic. Somebody else has another statistic that refutes it, and the Q story is the only one that really addresses that. If you're not addressing, the fact that there's a deep state cabal Illuminati, then you probably don't have a good reason for why you can see two different sets of data. And that's the hard part, is because you have to stay in this realm of arguing with people where all data is equal. When I believe some data is not true, but I've seen multiple data sets that say that our annual deaths aren't any higher this year, annual total count, than they were as compared to like the last 10 years. They're within the exact same range. And if people are getting miscategorized, as dying with COVID when they actually are dying with flu, then that would explain that. And the flu, the flu deaths now have just disappeared.
Oh, that's non-existent.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because my Aunt Rose, my famous Aunt Rose from this channel, she had some people close to her get COVID and pass, unfortunately, 2 people. And, I asked, every time I hear that, by the way, I ask the following questions, whether they had contracted or passed from it. And I say, well, Did they have other ailments? Were they given hydroxychloroquine? Were they put on ventilators? Were they given the COVID test first initially, then got sick? Then I ask a far off one, were they in Arizona? Which leads us to our next segment here of the mutating COVID-19, the mutating virus. And that's probably going to be the name of the Plandemic Part 2 going into 2021. It's going to be Plandemic 2, the mutating virus. So here it is. This is what we were talking about, the mink from Denmark. I'm going to give kudos and credit and a round of applause to Sunny, one of our original listeners, viewers. She sent this to me, and I think it's very, very key to what we're talking about here, Matt. Check this out. Here we have Denmark will kill all farmed mink citing coronavirus infections. Government officials said on Wednesday that the mutation in the virus could interfere with vaccine effectiveness in humans. Now, based on the headline alone, you're thinking, okay, so, well, let me go further. Danish government will slaughter millions of mink at more than 1,000 farms, citing concerns of that the mutation in the novel coronavirus has affected the mink, could possibly interfere with the effectiveness of vaccine for humans. There are 15 million more minks in Denmark than virtually anywhere. And that's one of those factoids I would have never guessed in my entire lifetime. Yeah. Investigating and on and on and on. Now, let me tell you what they're trying to do here is this is a mixture of things. But before I do that, this is, oops, let me just read this. Okay. So what I just read to you now, this is a better explanation of it. Why is this important? Minks and ferrets have been used for decades as experimental test victims for respiratory viruses, as their lung function is also similar to humans. Now, all of a sudden, minks are being slaughtered all across the world due to the mutant COVID strain. These are mink in Finland, and so it continues here. Genuine. So here's what I think it is they're affecting and tainting that entire area, because the intel that I'm getting in Europe is the whole vaccine program and rollout, it's not going well. The backlash is tremendous. People are getting sick. People are getting the hook palsy face. I'm not trying to make light of it. But so what they're trying to do is two things in my mind. Is they're trying to say, oh, it could be because of the minks why the vaccines are not really turning out and panning out the way we thought they were. Then they're also trying to maybe say, oh, see, more animals are dying and the coronavirus has mutated. If we have to slaughter just loads of farm animals and et cetera, that means get ready for not the second, the third, but the fourth wave of the coronavirus just in the nick of time, as they know that Donald Trump's going to take or keep rather the White House and the title of president, not just projected president. So that's how I see the spin. Having done public relations before in my career, very briefly, but understanding how it works, to me, that's what I see, how this is all panning out. And back to the original thought of the Chinese getting ready for a hot war, to wrap it all up, is I think this could have very well been, everything here could have very well been a live exercise to prepare us, just like our elders in the 1950s and such, for a hot World War III, that you couldn't just say that to the American people. Hey, we're about to go to war. You guys get ready. Everyone would be smoking a blunt and saying, oh, okay, yeah, go have fun with that. Where are my Cheetos? So that's how I think that's a potential angle, that needed to be explored. And I declared it here tonight on the Real Deal After Party. And Matt, what say you?
I totally respect all of that. I'm dialed into a different universe, though, coming from the Q world.
Yeah.
And, for me, the thing I can't get around watching it from my perspective this last 3 years is the gameplay that's involved, the Trump's chess playing. And I see all these You know, the deep state is more than the deep state. The deep state's just a term we use to make it easy for people to swallow, you know, but if you haven't figured out that the deep state extends beyond politics and into business and into Hollywood and into banking, and, you know, those things aren't the deep state. But, you know, we use the cabal when the word deep state doesn't work for us. Yeah. And when you start to get brave, you start, you know, whispering Illuminati and, you know, using different terms. But
Illuminati.
Yeah. But the thing is, they've concocted an illusion. Our world is, there's so many illusions, and that line of exposing to the world that there are illusions in place, that line can only be crossed one time. Whatever event it can be, and it could be any one of 27 different events that we have waiting in the wings, whether we release details of like Obamagate, just Obamagate alone, you know, when you look at like Peter Strzok and the insurance policy, you know, I don't know what everybody else in, you know, our little sub corners of conspiracy universe thinks that is, but in the Q universe, we've been told, you know, what were to happen if it were revealed to the public that FBI agents spoke about assassinating the president. You know, there's elements like that to the story, that just those tiny little elements could come out and they shatter the whole giant illusion. And they're all connected. They're all wired together with a common, you know, thread, that if someone pulls on it the right way, it's going to open up a bunch of stories at the same time. And
absolutely.
I think that's what we're looking at. As much as I understand that the cabal had other plans, they want to make the virus work, they could want to have an invasion, they have this plan for us and that plan. What I see is that we've got all these stories hanging just about to topple over the cliff, and they're all connected by a thread. And the fact that we've got all this information coming out about China at the exact same time, a list of 2 million, you know, Chinese Communist Party members,
Seth
Eric
Rich,
Swalwell, Seth Rich. I mean, like, we've got all this stuff combined together.
The professors, the universities.
Yeah, they've already been grabbed. The embassies have already been closed. Like we've already seen the preface to this lining up, and the fact that it's all just this last week, China, and then the SolarWind server thing, the raid on that. That's huge. When you look at the list of companies that their product was in, it's like every arm of the military, Department of Defense, Pentagon, all like 425 of the top Fortune 500 companies. Like this just happened within the last couple of days, and then we've got this deadline coming up on Friday with the foreign election interference, and the SolarWind software was used on Dominion products. And so in the beginning, when we had all this, you know, election fraud information, I was with everybody else that I thought we were moving forward that way, and we are going to just expose it from the front end. And I realized that's not it at all. No. The whole point of all that happened on the front end was just to expose every person who would deny it and say it wasn't real. Because on the back end, if on the back end we have somebody testify and say, oh, yep, they moved some votes, I think people would be much more likely to riot and go crazy without having this front end stuff that occurred first. Because I was thinking about it today, not only did they cheat, they literally cheated in every conceivable way there is to cheat.
Oh, like if you no stone left unturned.
The only thing they didn't try is they didn't try taking two kids and stacking them on top of each other with an overcoat where they pretend to be an adult. You know, like get in the movies.
Well, it was like a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
And I know we want to talk about preventing a unrest with the McConnell thing. I want to almost hold on to that for the next segment. Don't forget that. That's so key, because I just want to wrap up real quick with the Chinese, because I want to show one video left, but I want to give an applaud here to Seth Black. And Seth, you bring up such a great point. Burning and destroying all these animals like minks, which could then be the link to then I want to say the pathway to then burning up all the farm animals to create a food shortage. So Seth Black says FDA destroyed beef, pork, chicken food shortage. And so what I'm saying, Matt, that could very well be used as the excuse to then just burn it all the food because it has the coronavirus wave number 4 or 5 at this point. So
Yeah.
that is something we have to put in our arsenal and understand. And then I'm going to play, if I can find it, here it is. This is a gentleman who is pretty big. Oh, of course, I didn't put it in there. I'll put it in the next segment. There's basically a guy, and I'll find it here towards the middle or the end of the show, discussing what we just did, and I'll find it again. But in the meanwhile, I'm going to give you the floor, Matt, because this is a good segue. And JS, we have Jazz Pop here. JS, I'm going to throw you in here in a minute. Matt, I want you to talk about Mitch McConnell standing on the Senate floor today and literally saying, I'm going to do my Mitch McConnell impression. Here we go. I didn't really rehearse this, so please, I apologize beforehand. Well, I just want to congratulate Joe Biden and Kamala Harris here on the floor, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a Jim Fetzer impression. If people know that. And so it's similar. But anyways, it's kind of disturbing and hard to watch. And, our natural reaction is like, who's he? Mitch McConnell, what is wrong with you? Why would you go along with that? We know you screwed over Ron Paul and his little bid for the White House, and now you're doing it again. We never trust you, you little neocon, little twit. That's my natural first instinct reaction. But Matt, we spoke earlier. You have a little twist to that plot. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. A lot of this is optics, I think, and I don't have any personal feelings for Mitch McConnell one way or another that make me have my feelings hurt if he switches sides. I know what we're up against, and I know that this is a blackmail ring. That's how the cabal operates, and they have things on people and they have things over people. So I'm not sure if Mitch McConnell is, didn't he show up with some weird injuries like a week or two ago, some unexplained? I saw something on their Twitter. I was going to look that back up again, but whether he's playing a role or whether he's turned, it could just be part of the game. I feel like there's definitely some characters that like Bill Barr disagreeing with Trump on 2 things on the way out. Disagreeing about saying I don't see any signs of voter fraud and I don't see anything. What was the other one he did? I can't remember now, but those things I think are important for optics, because if Barr just agrees with Trump on everything, then you see the way the other side acts. If somebody that they believe is close to Trump disagrees with him even once, all of a sudden that's the left's new best friend for the weekend.
Well, and to the fact that, and you really made me think here, the fact that he's now it appears to be turning in a sense on Donald Trump and the administration.
Well, that's part of this part of the show, is expose everybody
what
for
that does,
who they really are.
So what that does in the sense of like a bar fight in a way, you cold cock someone in the face who's surrounded by his buddies, and you're surrounded with your friends. So you and your friends get ready to like just throw down. Then all of a sudden the guy you cold cock, a bunch of his friends go, "Hey man, that was a good punch." You're like, "Whoa, what the hell? We're getting ready to fight you guys. Now you're buying me a drink."
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird. It's a weird way to just mind trick someone, in my view. So when you told me that, I said, I can see that, because it throws off the inevitable civil unrest.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think a lot of what we're seeing is what I think of as like the gameplay of what we're seeing is I think of it exactly in those terms. Is every day I feel like there's some group within the Q Trump team that gets up and says, how do we get one step closer to our end goal without civil unrest? And each little revelation, especially when they come in a 3 steps forward, 2 steps back fashion. We have some things that look like they go our way, and then somebody disagrees with it and something doesn't go through. But Eric Swalwell is revealed to have a Chinese spy in his midst. And when we if we ever were to push too hard and all in one day, then that's the day. That's the day that everything breaks loose. But
Yeah, all
every
bets
time
are
we
off.
can get away with nudging it a little bit deeper, then I don't know. I think that's part of the game that's being played, is to stop the civil unrest. I think that's part of why Antifa was let to run loose for 6 months in Portland, just to see what they were capable of, see how long they would go.
Well, and we know
see that no one would stop them.
And we know they rounded up the heads of a lot of these little clubs like Antifa here domestically. And so here, okay, now I have the video, and this is weird. I try to recapture the video on my other device, and it won't allow it.
I've been having that happen
okay,
too.
so here it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, the page is, damn it. So you don't know what, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They've
I've been having device issues that cannot be explained.
No, the whole video got taken down. The whole video got taken down.
You said you tried to screen grab it earlier and it wouldn't let you.
Yeah. And that's another thing with Facebook, and you'll notice, or any of these things that the Chinese run, is if you try to record it or take a link from it or download a picture from Facebook and then send it to someone, it won't show anymore. So I'm going to play it from my phone. I still have it, because you got to hear this. Okay, this is David David Rodriguez official. Okay, this is it. Listen to this, because you have to. This is something worth noting, and I know he's kind of a big personality who talked about the now I know who he is. He talked about seeing the children from the underground that were taken earlier on in this pandemic chapter. So I'm going to put this up here, okay? And if you don't know who I'm talking about, this guy right here. I hate playing things from my phone. It's kind of a very swap meet of me, but we don't have a choice right now, okay? So here it is. Here it is.
Wait for some people
Okay, yeah.
corner.tv, but I decided not to, because this is
Yeah.
and this is serious. This is not a joke. This is not.
Can you hear it?
I wish this was clickbait or something like that, but it's not that. It looks like we're at war with China, and I don't know if we're moments away, days away, weeks away, a month away from it being full scale. But you got to think about, first was a biological attack. Second was the unconstitutional mandates. Then the stolen, fraudulent. It's hard for me to say it, but Biden's a winner, so we know where that we know what that was all
He's their
about.
candidate, yeah.
Then they confiscated servers in Frankfurt, and military did die. U.S. Marshals and FBI have raided solar winds and taken information and databases. It's a huge tech server place. So, and the Pentagon was just shut down today due to servers potentially being hacked, or they were actively hacking them. So right now, this is all covert. This is shit you're not seeing. This is remember, mainstream media is completely controlled. This is.
Unless you watch this very show here, this very network here at RealDealMedia.com, and we're going to bring on JS Pop. I do want to remind people, we are in a war. I've been in war. I've been at war for within my own circles with this entire pandemic since this whole damn thing began. And I want to remind people, you want to support this broadcast. You want to help fund this operation and help me keep going, because the later the hour gets, the harder it is to produce. I am stretched out here. So feel free, $2 or anything I never do this, but that's how dire it is, because I need the fuel to keep this going, to beat these people. I know all the moves, and it's just me at this point really pushing this mountain forward, and this energy and this real kinetic energy of this movement we've created here at the Real Deal Media Universe. And so there it is. Help keep these broadcasts alive. Donate to paypal.me/TheRealDeanRyan. I'm also on Venmo. I'm also the Real Dean Ryan everywhere. God knows what else is out there. So I want to thank you beforehand for that. And Matt, I know you wanted to say something, or you had something key to say, and if not, we're going to throw in JS Pop.
We'll go to JS.
Okay.
I didn't,
Well, there you go, JS. This is some wild stuff, as Johnny Carson would say. This is some unbelievable times to be alive. And if you don't mind, I'll even throw in Tifa here. We'll just have a little power trio. Uncle Tifa, thank you for joining the broadcast once again. Hey. So you're joined with our residential Q historian. That's the title.
I'm gonna
We
have
just
to write
love.
a song for him.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Song
But
for him for sure.
love it.
But guys, did you hear that? JS, did you hear what I just played from a video that's no longer available, except it's I never closed that window, so it has to play now. So what do you guys think? I mean, what did you think about my thesis of, hey, this could be a live drill to prepare us in the Western world for an all-on war with one of the most secretive militaries the world has ever not known? That's the Chinese military, and that is a historical fact there. JS, why don't we start with JS, and then we'll go to Tifa.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hear me okay?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, first of all, with the number of CCP members in the West, that should be all anybody has to be told to realize that everything we've been going through is war. Because every single one of those people are communist spies. I don't want to say Chinese spies because the Chinese people are great. The Communist Party, that's the dirtbags. And that's what we have. 2 million of them here in the West. They're in industry. They're in government. They're in the police forces. They're in the military. They're everywhere.
Hollywood, NBA, sports entertainment.
Yeah.
And
You know what?
that is so
Pop
true.
is saying it's a new kind of a war. It's not a war that everyone is used to in the past.
No.
It's kind of a war that is covert and is hidden.
Right.
The mainstream people
Invisible
don't
war.
understand.
Q says infiltration instead of invasion, and that's exactly what it is.
It was a 20-year plan.
Everyday Karens and Kennys, whatever they're called, do not understand what's really happening.
No.
They think it's life as usual, and it's just something different. Yeah, they have no idea. I have friends, and I try to explain this to these people, and they have no idea. They think I'm nuts.
Yeah.
Now, let's review real quick, guys, because you guys, virtually have been here since the beginning and the inception of this very platform and show, if you will. And, I was talking about this in April, and I was talking about underground warfare in I want to say April, May, when people didn't even want to bother even reading or just giving any mind. Now, I went to the rally out here in Huntington Beach Saturday where I did the speech. And I got to tell you, Tifa, I got to tell you, JS, is the speakers, there's, a variety of different speakers, and they were all talking like we do here on Real Deal Report and Real Deal Media. They were talking just like us and saying things that I was saying 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago. And I don't want to say it's a joy to hear it, but I'm saying it's about damn time to hear it, because we're about to see things in our lives that we haven't seen before, but only on TV. And, Matt,
Nobody's seen what we're about to see.
I mean, am I right on that? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Am I in the middle?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, you're right. You're right. You were the first one, honest to God, that came out with all this stuff. And you know what? You don't want to be in competition with other people, because it's something that everybody needs to be on board with.
Yeah.
Care who said it first, even though it was
Exactly. I'm just in a way, it's just how far we've come to now. It's in the everyday vocabulary of people out here and people in Orange County, us, your friends, and people we know that pass by and watch the show. It's now a thing where if you would have asked me, Matt, 5 years ago, what is CCP? I would have had no clue what CCP is.
Well, we've all gotten
a year ago.
We've all gotten a quick
Isn't that a religious
education in
class,
a lot of different
at school?
topics this last few years.
Absolutely.
CCP, I just wanted to throw this in there because I didn't know this until this morning. But the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, only 6.6% of the Chinese population are CCP members. So that's something I just
The
learned
rest
this morning.
are slaves.
Okay, how many
Yeah.
people? How many people are in China? Excuse me. How many? What's the population in
Yeah,
China?
what is it?
Everyone, get your calculator out. It's got to
Doesn't
be
go that high.
I think it's about 4.5 billion people in China. Okay, that's probably off by a billion, but let's just say it's 4 billion, maybe 4.3. So, what is the percentage of
I
that?
think it's lower than that.
Okay,
Let me,
maybe it's 1. Maybe I just totally. Nonetheless,
yeah, I think it's like 1 point something.
And now here's another factoid.
1.39.
Okay, 1.3 billion. Now here's another
Only
factoid.
6% are CCP.
Yeah, what's
and
6%
we've got
of that?
2 million CCP wandering around, infiltrate.
Like a mathlete? I don't know.
It's like 120 million.
Right. So just think about that. Now, here's another factoid, guys. I did the research on this. Is 91% of all the family members of the Communist Chinese Party don't even live in China.
Yeah,
They don't even live in China, and there's something called the Sinking Ark Project, meaning when the Third Reich of the Nazis, after Germany lost the war, when they had to flee, they all fled. They all made sure all the riches and Hitler's gold were everywhere for them to go. The Chinese have done the same thing. They have put all their money everywhere for this very moment in case they have to flee China, because all dark regimes like that all sink in the end the same way.
Contingency. It's a contingency plan.
Contingency plan, hose in different area codes, whatever you want to call it. These people are ready to flee because their days are numbered. Now, when they flee, they want to make sure it's a third world country, so it's a buyer's market. That's what they're trying to do here to the United States. That's why when you go up and down California, you go to Portland, it's a shithole, literally. San Francisco is a beautiful city that literally got dumped on, and that's what they want. That's why they're using directed energy weapons to just burn the hell out of everything, to then come as they do in Africa when they just mow down villages. They pay a warlord to mow down villages, kill people, then to charge that village 30% interest for the Chinese construction companies to rebuild it all.
Yeah,
That's what they want to do here. And
Can I ask you something? You know the Nation of Islam, right? Everyone knows
Yes.
the Nation of Islam. Where are they right now? Like, I honest to God, I respect the Nation of Islam. Honest to God, because they're trying to do better for the black race. They're not trying to go loot stores and be jagoffs about everything. They're trying to be respectful people and teach their people, what's right from wrong and how they've been, abused through all the years. But they're doing it in a very educated way. They have to be in this world right now and seeing what's happening. I haven't heard anything anywhere about the Nation of Islam since any of this has been happening. They would be a great team to have on board. I guarantee you.
well, so, okay, the little that I know about Nation of Islam, and, just a quick recap on them. I was kind of the guy that put that big interview together with Alex Jones and Louis Farrakhan back in the day. I
Public
actually
Enemy, Professor
reached
Griff, all
out.
those.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of these people, and someone remembers my word from yesterday. The word of the day was Spinese. Continuing, it's the whatever that's called. Anyways, my train of thought. So, where is the Nation of Islam? Now, there was different splinters of it. One of it went to the militant realm of it, where they wanted a ethno state, and they want to bring the black ethno state to Georgia. And you see them marching around, and a lot of them are just carrying AR-15s and what have you. And then you have the other split that has stayed in kind of the reform realm with the old guard of Louis Farrakhan, who's actually come a long way, where it was all about Whitey's fault and all this and all the other things, but he has since evolved from that in the same regard that Malcolm X did. Well,
it is Whitey's fault.
Well, here's what he realized. Here's what Louis Farrakhan realized. He realized the true evil of society is the federal banking system, or the bankers. And he actually, and he actually became he actually supported Ron Paul in a lot of his stuff, the gold standard. And here's something very interesting, and I'll get off it after this, is he started saying very positive things about Donald Trump in 2015, and it was going to look like he was going to do an endorsement of, or a half endorsement. Next thing you know, a week later, he gets food poisoning that almost killed him. He was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Farrakhan?
That is fascinating. Louis Farrakhan. So that just shows you
I don't
what
think that
what
would
kind of
stop
love it is.
them, though. We, honest to God, we need them on our side.
Well, I want to bring in Jay as Pop, but yes, to close the Nation of Islam, and I think I said this the other day, is the reason they're not getting backed by, Arab, what are they called? The DNC politicians, or I almost said NBA, is because they can't be controlled like the BLM. They can't be, they
Like
can't
Trump.
have the bad
They can't be
actors in
controlled like
Nation of
Trump.
Islam. Right. So that's why there's not a big backing behind them on a grand scale, because they can't be backed or controlled like Black Lives Matter, who, we said on this show, the true person who started that is Judith Rosenberg, an alleged
black
Zionist, an alleged Mossad at the very realm of it. But JS, I want to throw you in here. Is what is it looking like over there in Michigan? Because now we hear Governor Dimwit using all her allies to say, "Oh, we were threatened, and we're just going to have to keep the lockdown longer, and we're going to actually have to, end Christmas and all these things." And
everything is shut down again illegally. The Michigan Supreme Court already said all of your orders can only apply to the people that answer to you in your chain of command. You have no right to tell independent businesses or private citizens what to do. You can recommend, and that's it. And then Whitmer came back and said, well, I have 21 days to respond to that, so my orders stand. Then the Supreme Court issued another statement saying, no, you don't. You don't have 21 days while your orders stand. But she's been issuing them ever since. And unfortunately, there's enough cops that are just, duck walking, lockstep dudes who just love. They're like little power mongers on a mini scale. And they just love enforcing all this crazy crap and harassing people. Now, it's not every single agency or policeman, but there's enough of them that they're harassing businesses. They made businesses build tent. Now, let me tell you something. It's 17 degrees here.
I kind of gathered that. Yeah.
Businesses built 2x4 frames with Visqueen over them to serve people, because they can sit in, outside as long as it's inside, but they can't go inside.
Right.
All this crate, which is just pounding more expense on these guys that have been hurting already for almost 9 months here.
Yeah.
Or just about 9 months right now, right? A couple of days ago.
Restaurants don't have a good profit margin to begin with.
Right.
No, they don't.
More money on tents and electricity, more electricity.
Yeah,
more,
exactly. More labor to bring the tables out every
shields,
morning,
like
bring them back in.
Well, not to mention they were shut down altogether for months.
Yeah.
Altogether.
So they're gonna put out this money just to stay alive.
Yeah. Well, that's what we had here in California.
Sad. It's pathetic.
Everybody built these outdoor structures, and as soon as they built them, now they're not allowed to use them, and now they've lost that money too.
Exactly.
And all the windmills too. Remember, we were sold on that, and all the systems that Obama. What was that system that Obama got billions for? And
all the wind farms,
smart grid.
Yeah, all that stuff, and it just turned out to be a bunch of bunk, like a lot of things are. But guys, I'm going to put you in the bullpen for a minute, because or just hold tight there if you would. I'll bring you back. I want you to watch this video of Steve Quell, who actually I had the pleasure of meeting in Missouri at a big event. I want to say last year September. But guys, I'll bring you right back. All right, stand by there. Look at this, Matt. I found this. This is from Find Your Own Truth. And she sent me a video, and thank you and bless your heart for it. And I mean that in a good way. So here it is. I'm going to play this video right here. You see that? Okay, here it is. Here we go. Stand by, stand by. And I want to show people this. Here we go. Share audio. Check this out. This is fascinating. This is Steve Quell. It's only about 2 minutes. I believe he's talking about the very same thing we are now discussing. Here it is.
Attempted to overthrow the United States using a foreign army, the People's Republic of China, who's on our borders, in our towns, in the bunkers, in the United States, and we had the first shot of World War III literally fired, and nobody knows about it, and everybody's clueless because there's a complete blackout on the news. So here we go. Take a deep breath, Steve. Okay. Chinese military troops are making incursions into the U.S. F-16 shot down by the Chinese troops. Pilot taken hostage. The U.S. dropped a 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb, killing 50,000 Chinese troops in the underground facility in Robinson, Maine. There's 2 events that took place, one in Maine and one in Michigan. There were over 750,000 troops within the United States secreted in different bases. Now listen, the F-16 that went down in Michigan was not an accident. As the Chinese are basically using high-energy weapons,
I don't know much about
the background I got from my military guy was that the plane was cut in half, literally cut in half. So what people have got to understand is this. We are in, right now, a battle with Red China. I was also told, and this is for the record, that December 10th, interesting, isn't it? I was also told of a foiled attempt to re-commemorate Pearl Harbor using nuclear missiles off of Chinese boomers. That was foiled. As a matter of fact, I believe at least one, if not 2 of their boomers, nuclear subs, went to the deep blue sea. Doug, we have to have a reality check. This isn't fighting for an argument. This isn't fighting for just to be heard. This is, all those things are important. We're fighting for freedom and the literal.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it there. And, he said this is the first shot that was done by China. And I don't want to boo-hoo Mr. Steve Quell, who's a very nice guy and allowed me to hang out at his event. But I will say that here at the Real Deal Report, we showed you a missile that almost damn near landed in Tacoma, Washington.
The island, yeah.
But we got this from a viewer, and if I can find the original submarine video that was getting refueled, it was a Chinese submarine, and we had a viewer send us that. I'll find it. But check this out, just so for reference, guys. I will play this from you if you remember it. This is a one of our classics. Here it is. It's only about a minute or so, and I'm sorry, minute 15. There it is. Now, this was right over a suburban area, the most north part of Washington State.
What is that?
I want to say maybe 20 miles or less. You have Canada right there.
Yeah.
And that was a missile. That's not even an airplane.
This is the one from 2 years ago, right?
No, this one is recent.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah. This is recently. So that's just a little taste flavor of what we played here a while ago. And you'll have to dig those videos up again. And guys, I'm going to bring you in one last time. So there it is. We showed the world the missiles that went over a suburban area in Washington, USA. We showed the world the Chinese submarine that was getting refueled north of the border. I believe. Where did we say, guys? I mean, I have to. It's just so much going on. But we showed a lot of these things.
British Columbia, or
British
Alberta.
Columbia, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. British Columbia, even all the way on the other side. I remember we had a viewer call from Maine who said he saw all the U.S. military line up at the border. So to say that we're at the beginning of a potential Red Dawn moment is really not out of the question. It's almost something to rip the Band-Aid off. And Matt, I don't know about you, but I think these are little variables and red herrings that we really need to be aware of, focused on, but also prepare for.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm living in an alternate reality that
Right.
Patrick Swayze's movie is becoming reality. How is that possible?
Oh, for sure. Our reality is so much stranger than any movie. That's part of the way they kept it hidden.
Wolverines, dude.
Right, right. And JS, you may remember maybe your parents would talk about the Great Depression and how they hated wasting food. I know my parents did, my grandparents did when they raised me. They would scoff at the idea of me throwing any food away because nobody really knows what it's like to go hungry and
you
not
don't.
be able to have it.
The way I was raised, you don't do that. To give you a clue, my grandfather, not my great-grandfather, my grandfather, was born in 1886.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
He volunteered for World War I.
I wonder if he voted for Biden as well. I'm not sure if he voted
for Abe
Biden.
Lincoln, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
He may have, but he went through the entire thing up to the Depression and Prohibition and through it. And he had the most amazing accounts. But I'm going to tell you something. You do not throw food away.
No, you don't.
I still feel that way with my son.
Raised.
I get so mad. Like, why would I pay for food to be thrown into the garbage?
Well, if you make something today,
don't eat.
Yeah, if you make something today and you have leftovers from yesterday, you put that aside, let it cool off, and put it in the fridge, and you eat what you had yesterday first before, so it doesn't go bad sitting in the fridge.
Can I say?
Exactly.
My great grandfather, was in the army. He was a colonel in the army. He was in World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Korean War. He was in all of those, and he ended up being a colonel, retired colonel. This guy, this is how the older folk are. They gave their lives up, their freedom up to fight for their country. And these people make their own bread, their own pasta. The guy made his own computer. He made his own ham radio. The guy was like a genius. I don't know anyone who is as smart as this guy that I've ever met.
Incredible.
And he was
whole
just a normal guy.
This is the whole philosophy is not just about food.
No.
It's a way of thinking.
Yeah.
Right. It's prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Yeah.
Prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
And to bring the country forward. When you have enough people with this mentality who just do not waste things, I mean, almost in a religious manner,
Sadly, it's going away. And people are not thinking that way anymore.
Guys, I want to just conclude this because we're going to move on to the next segment here. But I do want to say something very heartfelt to one of our viewers, Angie from the United Kingdom, who is one of our original viewers who initially found the Real Deal Report because her parents, one of her parents was sick in the NHS and there was a lot of hardships. And if you've watched this show, you know how dark and scary it is over there in England, what they do to, mom and grandma and grandpa. But so Angie, she lost her father unexpectedly and sadly just the other day. So I want to send our Real Deal heartfelt sincerity to her and our deepest sympathies from all of us.
Prayers, yeah.
Yes, I know she's watching right now from England, and it's got to be like 5 a.m. at this point.
Good luck to you, Angie.
So our condolences to Angie from the United Kingdom, and we'll get to you soon. But guys, thank you for this spirited little roundtable discussion on the dangers that we may be facing here in the next 24 hours to 3 weeks at this point. So thank you guys. And
thanks, Dean. Thanks, Matt. Bye, Poppy.
See you guys.
And Yuletide. Merry Christmas. Is it Hanukkah yet? I'm not even.
Yeah, I think a couple days.
Oh, I missed it. Okay. So, Matt, there you have it. I mean, this is real talk. This is real point of views from the ground. We had Uncle Tifa there in Chicago. We had Jazz Pop in Michigan where everything shut down, and it's got to be, what did he say, 10 degrees or 17?
17.
Oh, my, I can't even imagine. I'm almost crying here at 60.
And he said that they were trying to have the outdoor dining open, and we're just happy to have that. And now they don't have that. And just the thought that people are desperate enough to eat out to go sit in a 2x4 tent with some plastic on it in 17-degree weather is
Well, this really sets up what they're trying to pass is the stimulus, the COVID stimulus.
yeah.
And
I think that's about to come through.
right. And well, you have to sink private business even further down the hole before you offer it. Now, the nefarious things about it is you have some Democrats and Republicans that are trying to tie the vaccine to it, of course. They want you to make sure you have the non-human DNA and the chimera half man, half horse in you before you accept their measly $1,500. And that's very nefarious to me. And the people that are really proposing that need to be handled accordingly. And I'll leave that for you to decide. So, but let's get back to what we are now seeing unfold. And I'm going to get off China as much as I don't want to because it's just so enthralling.
Yeah, you almost can't. China's wrapped up in everything.
China's within us. It surrounds us. They love us. Yes. Yeah. Here's somebody we have. We have Seth Black once again hitting a home run. I won't eat at restaurants with regulations here in Boston. And Seth, I would be curious to ask you, we have another viewer out there, Karen. I'm not sure she's here tonight. She told me how restrictive Boston really is. And I almost want to say they're way more restrictive up there in the Northeast than they really are in California as a whole. And I can't even imagine you try to go out, you want to go have a dinner and you got to eat outside in 17-degree weather.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So we got to go in a winter vortex to the subway now at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Like Juice
Smollett.
Smollett. Yeah, I don't think so. You know what happens when you try to get a sandwich at that hour?
Yeah, you have to watch out because there's people running around with bleach in the middle of the night.
You never wearing MAGA hats.
Encounter one.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it anymore. So anyways, and this person wants me to go to the Mojave Desert alone, I presume, somewhere otherwise than Mojave. Well, it seems like a good deal. I'll just make sure I leave my phone in the car or at home when I do that. Anyways, let's talk in a kind of the closing hour here, and we'll have a free-for-all. And I will remind people, too, if you're enjoying these broadcasts, which are somewhat educational, at times entertaining, and very other times dark and decrepit, but filled with light, because that's the kind of world we live in. In 2020, anything and everything goes. But one thing we don't want to go is and are these broadcasts, because we work very hard to bring you the most quality of information, intel that you're not going to find anywhere unless you are a psychic extraterrestrial who does Psychic Friends Network, and you know who I'm talking about. But you want to contribute to this broadcast and help us buy our milk so our bones can grow stronger and we won't be brittle, and we can grow tall to be a football player one day. Please feel free to donate at paypal.me/TheRealDeanRyan. That's me, because everyone else is just a faker. Any dime will do. So thank you very much for that. And oops, let me just get back to what we're talking about, Matt. We were talking about the overall end game of this. Now, right now,
I think that's where we are.
Yeah,
I think this next 10 days. I didn't even feel this way a week ago. There's information coming out all the time, but the way I see the news coming out, the way it's all China related, the way I don't see anything that resembles fear from the Trump team or the Trump legal team, the way every time there's a weird new piece of the puzzle, no one really reacts the way you'd think they would. I think there's a lot of signs that people are being briefed behind the scenes, a little bit in advance of some of these things.
Of course, yeah. Like Ratcliffe and all that.
Yeah.
Now, who said that Hunter and his son or was communist, or who declared that today?
Oh, I don't know.
Somebody declared that today.
Yeah.
And if you're watching anyone here on this channel, if we can find that information, because info comes in this ear and it sticks and lingers for a rough 3 minutes or less, and then more breaking news comes.
The money connections are enough for me on the China thing. I
Yeah.
mean, there's already so many financial ties between, the Bidens and China that it's obvious. And watching the way that the media is reacting to the Swalwell thing with no interest whatsoever. Kayleigh McEnany today during her press briefing listed how many minutes each network had devoted to these stories, and it was almost zeros across the board. I mean, it's you can tell now which stories are important by which ones aren't getting covered, and which ones are getting covered up by Facebook and Twitter, and it's all coming to a conclusion.
It really is, and it's two realities: the reality of light, truth, common sense, and logic, and the other reality of just complete decrepit darkness, total retardation, not in the know, spoiled, decrepit. I've used that twice, and just totally saturated, ill-willed, filled with malice, complete dumbass from hell. That reality is not the one we have here at TheRealDealMedia.com, and that's why we are here for you. And thank God for people like our residential Q historian Matt, right here in Huntington Beach, who is, we're facing some dangers too here, Matt. We talked about the other day, and let's not be coy any longer. Is you've heard firecrackers, you've heard suspicious blast at night, and just the other night they said that Huntington Beach is on high alert. And
that makes sense to me.
Yeah, now we know why. It could be a combination of Trump, but now I think it's really this Chinese threat, because they're going to move in. They don't want to lose this executive, I want to say, potential to regain the executive branch here in the United States to complete their entire global reset and pandemic. So they're going to go to all expense, because at this point, if they don't, when the Donald gets his second term, I mean, his gloves are off, or they might want to be on, because he's going to be giving the Chinese a rectal exam like they've never experienced before. And they deserve one. And quite frankly, I think you should have a turkey-based and a metal plunger involved in it too, for all the harm they've caused with their little one-child policy, their organ harvesting. These little these communist punks have really destroyed a lot of good things, especially here in Orange County. And it just really busts my hump, and I'm going to lose it sometimes. You probably should take over from here, Matt, because I'm getting really angry.
And this is I hate when I don't fully agree with someone, and I completely honor all your perceptions of the Chinese stuff and where it could go. And for me, that falls into what I think of as more like abandoned timeline stuff. Like it's there, but I personally feel that we're much further along than sometimes we realize we are. I think a lot of the things we see are a play that some entities are being forced to go through to save face and let this play out in a way that people understand it. Like, for example, one of the things that makes me see that is the way Saudi Arabia got wrapped up so quickly. There was so much going on there and so much corruption. And from the Q side of the story, watching when Trump, when that happened, when the one prince rounded up everybody in the hotel.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
I mean,
so
that was a complete rearrangement of Saudi Arabia that just happened overnight. None of us knew it was coming. There was nothing that led up to it. It just happened. And I think that there's other things that happen that quickly that we don't realize. So yeah, I'll be the voice of, I'm very cautious, especially living in Huntington Beach. I'm not ignorant of the fact that we've created a little bit of a target on our city here just by
no doubt
being the resistance
by being
of some
bold.
of these things. Yeah.
By actually, having an opinion different than the Communist Chinese Party and their little, California whore politicians who just, suck off the teat of Xi Jinping and the Qin dynasty. So these people are so corrupt. They just make me sick. And the way they just, bitch slap Orange County. They totally bitch slap the alleged governor in LA. In fact, they go to LA, the Chinese, and they literally shit on San Francisco to just create the third world narrative wave to push and drive us all down to the third world. Then they want to come here like Daddy Warbucks and just buy everything up like Irvine, Silicon Valley, and just control us all to then say and bring out their little, Aunt Jemima puppet Oprah, who's now saying, oh, we have to have one child policy. Are you kidding? These people are satanic. These people are just killing everybody. And I'm not going to take it. And, when you come to give me the vaccines, well, I'm going to give you the bullets and the bullet points, that is. So back to you, Matt, in the sense of, I know I'm going a little off the plantation here, but I just get so passionate because we're talking about a culture in China that has never seen freedom.
Yeah.
We're talking about people that have just been rounded up over the course of history since 1949, if not longer. When your means of productions for your dad and mom's farm don't go to Mao Zedong, they come over to your village, put you in make sure all your peers and neighbors are there. This is, read these things.
Yeah.
And they boil you alive to make a statement. That's what's happened. That's the great leap forward. What do you think they're trying to do? Why do you think Bill Clinton in 1996 signed an executive order, put guillotines in the middle of the country to make sure the Christians, in the event they wake up and, patriot types, they cut your head off to make an example? That's what these people are planning to do. And I know that for a fact because Trump said it to my friend at a dinner party in LA 4 years ago.
I believe I've researched that stuff independently, and luckily that's what I consider an abandoned storyline that they can't get to anymore. But it was there. It existed.
Yeah, in a sense, just to be positive. I don't want to be just lukewarm positive now.
Yeah.
I want to say that look how far we've come in the progress of understanding and just the advancement of the society and the evolution of knowing. And you want to join this evolution of knowing, you want to call in. Well, here it is. We're going to be here just slightly a little longer. StreamYard, yeah, there you go. Just StreamYard.com / and then put that little alien language there in. And you'll have it. And then here, somebody said, I followed Vegas shooting closely. Well, here's something people should look
I
up.
notice everybody in the comments is tying that to the Saudi thing, which I agree with, that those events are related.
People here in the comment, go type Las Vegas, Dean Ryan, that's me, and you'll see I have one of the biggest videos at the time, and one of the first to come out on the Vegas shooting, because I was there on the Strip that next morning. Yours truly was walking around doing some muck raking and being a real gumshoes. And in that, I found and interviewed somebody who the other individual who was holding the camera very poorly refused to record because he's a foolish, he used to work here. You know who that is. But anyways, Matt, get this. She told me she was a bartender in New York. And she said that she saw there was other shooters going around. She saw the second shooter in New York, and they apprehended him right there in the casino.
Yeah.
And there's thousands, or not thousands, but there's dozens of reports of he was at the Tropicana. There was shooters like that. I mean, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
And this is how even more eerie it gets. I was actually talking to a girl at the time. Her name is Kat. And she's now, engaged, I believe, or something. She actually wound up getting shot in the chest.
Really?
Yeah. So that happened. And then people try to convince me, no, she's a crisis actor. Yeah, and
it's really confusing after those things happen.
Right.
They do a lot to mess with your head and not make you know. I think literally we've seen every version of a false flag there is.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's been some that the event didn't happen, some where the event did happen, and I think that there's some where the event did happen, but they throw in people to spread misinformation to make a group of us say that event didn't happen.
Sure.
And just muddy the waters.
Well, also too, man, I will tell you, because I'm the guy that investigated with Kurt Haskell, and I do have that footage, but it's up to him to release it. I investigated Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, the gay nightclub.
Yeah.
I went down to Orlando, investigated that. I investigated Parkland. I flew down to Parkland, Stoneman High School.
Marjorie Stoneman.
Yeah, investigated that one. Boy, it's some strange things. I went to I want to say Colorado Springs there in Texas, or Santa Fe Springs, the high school shooting. And then I want to say Santa Fe Springs, the church shooting that happened immediately after the Vegas shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been really looking at false flags. They've just been landing on my lap because we would have them all the time.
Yeah.
In their last ditch effort to really ban firearms here in America.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, none was less creepier than Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's how the Vegas shooting is how I found my way into the Q world. I wasn't somebody who was a conspiracy theorist before. My past was just that I thought out of every conspiracy theory that existed, there was probably a few that were true. I wasn't overly concerned with which ones they were, and I definitely didn't think that there was some grand thing that tied them all together. But when the Vegas shooting happened in particular, nothing about it sat right with me. I know there's a lot of people in the comments saying the same things, that there's a lot of us that just followed it because nothing made sense, and it didn't sit right. So I was hanging out in our conspiracy on Reddit at the time that Q made his first post. So to me, the shooting in Vegas is very tightly tied to the beginning of all this. That's kind of where it all started. And then when you find out, everything that happened with Saudi Arabia immediately afterwards, and the rumors about, the upper floor of the Mandalay Bay, and that it was Saudi owned and not actually owned by MGM.
It was Saudi owned on the 26th floor. But
yeah.
Let me tell you what I found out, and it got me in some hot water. Because this was immediately after I got involved in the JonBenet Ramsey case, and I believe I busted that wide open. And if I didn't, or if I was wrong, I certainly no one suing my carcass. So I'm still waiting, John Ramsey. But let me tell you what I found out in Las Vegas shooting massacre, because I don't really get the opportunity to talk about some of the past reports and shows I've done, specifically this one because of this year. I mean, who has the time? But what I found out was the following: is beyond just the New York hotel workers eyewitness testimony, is I started looking into Stephen Paddock, the alleged lone gunman.
Everything about him is,
and he owned. So I found out he owned a house in Mesquite. And this was right on the heels of the Bundy Ranch trial. And Mesquite is where the Bundys live. And they were trying to find every which way to make the Bundys look bad. So, I kind of hunkered onto that angle pretty tightly because I was involved in the Bundy case. But then I looked a little deeper. What people don't know is Stephen Paddock was an arms dealer, and he was a CIA asset, is what I found out. But here's what you'd never have heard before. He had a child rescue center in Henderson. And if you don't know Henderson, it's a suburb of Vegas. It's actually a really nice city, and I've lived there once. And what happened is the very next day after the lone gunman, Stephen Paddock, the alleged one, after that event, is Department of Homeland Security and other authorities went to that child rescue center over there in Henderson. And my eyewitness that got a hold of me said it looked like no child daycare or rescue center at all. It was all in disarray before anyone even got there. It looked like a child trafficking center, she said. And she said the authorities went there immediately after the next day and scrubbed the entire center. So just imagine that. We have one of the greatest massacres in U.S. history, and instead of investigating what the hell happened, you have authorities, DHS, going to a child daycare rescue center or whatever, scrubbing it clean, and then getting the hell out of there like nothing happened. So
nothing about any of that.
Yeah, nobody's heard this before. And as I was getting closer to going there, weird things started happening to me, and I had to back off for my own safety because at the time I was living in Henderson, full disclosure. So, you don't want to ask where you eat, as they say. So I had to back off for my own safety. But and then shortly thereafter, I believe his brother got caught with
child porn on his computer.
So I mean, people, where there's smoke, there's a CIA pedophile, as they say.
Yeah.
There you have it. So that's kind of summing up the past. We've seen the false flags dry up. They're pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, that's a good sign. They've seemed to have had their ammunition expended to an extent.
What was MS-13?
Yeah,
that was really doing a lot of
it, and
shootings.
controlled assets, MK Ultra.
Oh yeah. The kids with like this stuff.
But they only have so many of them ready because they had a plan that was in place before we came along and started messing with it.
Sure.
So we forced them to expend ammunition at a very fast rate, which it was horrible. That's why we saw so many of these events.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, like, again, we don't see them right now.
Well, we haven't seen them for 2 years.
It's been a while.
We haven't seen them for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'll go further. Where are all the cop killings of the black man? When did that stop? We don't see those all over the news. I thought that was an epidemic of just black guys walking down the street minding their own business get shot in the head by a cop, who I even question is even a real cop or CIA part of an event to promote their narrative that they wanted the race war for their Planned Riot Hoods. And I say that because that's what happened in San Clemente, I want to say several months ago, maybe 2, when they were trying to pass an HOA to have oversight over the sheriff's department. Well, the black guy that was shot by the deputy this time, his writing said he was being CIA MK Ultra. And this was all a CIA hocus pocus event. And you're damn right it is. I mean, with the NDAA still out there and they can do, they can do propaganda at will, they will do it because this is their last fight. So that is just a little trip down memory lane, as uncomfortable as that was.
There's a lot of these events that there's been so many in the last 3 years that it's kind of time to go back and review some of them.
It is. And
somebody was talking about the plane crash in Washington. I was thinking about that just the other day, how weird that story was in the audio tape. Did you listen to the audio tape released from that?
No,
pilot?
No.
Yeah,
can we find story? Where is it? Please send it to me.
Yeah, it'll take a while to find, but it's really odd. It just does not strike me as real in any way, the audio.
And too, I didn't raise this point, is in these kind of events, you have crisis actors. Indeed, you have, you do have real victims, but you also have people that were, and this was what the lawyer, I shouldn't even say it, but a lawyer connected to one of these events told me, who actually has the real footage. You'll have people that say they were hurt and, my ankle, my leg, to receive money for compensation in the big class action lawsuit that follows these things, which is a ambulance chaser's wet dream. Just make note of that.
Oh, wow. Ashley says she has a view of Ketron from her home, so saw the plane crash. Talking about the plane crash. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Ashley, please send that to me if you would. Or, no, she has
She's
the view.
just saying she saw
got
it.
it. Okay. So that was a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that and probably do a Real Deal report on the go. We have Sheila Walker here. Hello from Hawaii. And, I think it's time I tell people something else I've been involved in behind the scenes. I think it's time to just lay it all out on the table and tell you what's been going on here. And some rather good, refreshing news for a change, maybe, is yours truly here has been working on a covert operation in Oahu, Hawaii, with some rather interesting special forces type people to really take down a child trafficking network that is highly prevalent in the island of Oahu in Hawaii. And why that is because, speaking of CCP, which is the theme of today's, sponsored by the CCP, theme of today's show, is CCP is crawling all up and down Hawaii. Hawaii has, I said Boston has pretty restrictive COVID measures. I take it back. Hawaii is probably number one. Speaking of the people there, and that's saying a lot, but you might want to ask yourself, why was Nancy Pelosi there at a very suspicious hotel for quite a while? And she was definitely protested by our very own Sheila Walker, and we congratulate her that. But yes, I had some very detailed information on a child trafficking network in Oahu, where kids were being sent there in Chinese crates at the ports. And you have the mayors involved and stuff. You have the police chiefs. You have district attorneys, as usual, just like the Jean Bonnet case, involved in these things, bringing the kids out of the crates and bringing them into a hotel that was being guarded allegedly by military. We don't know whose. So I had to actually pull away from that story, not make it public, so things could naturally occur at their own time. And I believe that's indeed what happened. And so Hawaii needs cleaning up, because I understand the strategic meaning of having Hawaii if you're China, because it is a big landmass near the Orient. You want it.
Yeah.
As they plan to take over here. Now, you remember the missile that shot off?
Yeah, with the false warning.
You want to like do a quick recap of
The
that?
Hawaiian missile, right?
Yeah.
'Cause there's been multiples. We've got the Whidbey Island missile and the Hawaii missile.
And what did they say? Oh, it was an accident, or it's not what you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, in the Q world, that was an assassination attempt on someone. I don't know if it was the president specifically. I don't remember.
I remember
the intention was to
president.
trigger a reaction and say who did it and get us into a war with whoever was going to get pinned on.
Well, and there's been many assassination attempts, and I've really tried to articulate to people that the COVID-19 it really works both ways. So, for instance, if you're Don Jr. and you there's a hit on you, because we know there was a hit on JFK Jr. in 1995 when the FOIA request files from the FBI came out in April. Oddly enough, why would they come out this year for some reason? That in the files it said that they were trying to kill JFK Jr. and Joe Biden was making death threats to do that. But fast forwarding to Don Jr., well, we can just assume that's happening. In fact, I know that for a fact. That they've been trying to kill Melania. They've been trying to kill all these people.
That's
all the Trump
allegedly
family.
what the insurance policy references in the Strzok text to Lisa Page. And again, there's a reason we keep getting those in a drip, drip, drip fashion. There's been more than enough time and more than enough sessions where we've gotten a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. If those final details are being held back for a reason, because they are going to, nothing too big can be revealed unless you want to break the storyline wide open. So, it's like I'm always saying that all these stories get pushed to an edge, but a major piece left out or the final piece left out. And I think all those pieces are about to tie together, or enough of them that it will be undeniable. And it makes sense psychologically, because if you've got any one story and you break it open, we've all seen what happens. We watch people literally flat out deny reality. They will literally
all the time
stare at reality and tell you that they do not see what is right in front of them, whether it be, everything with Obamagate and all the crazy stuff that happened with Trump being spied on, which people will literally just say doesn't exist, or voter fraud that they say it doesn't exist. But I think we're going to a point where we've got 9 or 12 stories that all have a common thread, and if someone pulls it all at the same time, nobody can say it doesn't exist. It's a way to defeat that mechanism.
It's going to be like carpet bombing, like you've never seen. Now, here's a very interesting angle from Robert.
I was going to bring that.
Yeah, here's Robert Youngblood.
I'm
Youngblood
ready
says
for this tomorrow.
Robert Youngblood says, Dean, did you hear James O'Keefe of Project Veritas will be releasing an audio of Obama's administration's Secretary of State conversation with Julian Assange? I want to say, is that Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I will say I've read the transcript, and what I believe you're going to hear is a 2010 conversation with WikiLeaks, who they favored at the time, and then what we saw in 2016 was quite different.
Yeah, different version.
So I've read the transcript already, and I've read the email. I haven't read the transcript of the audio, I should say. I've read the emails and correspondence from it. And let me just look at some of the past interesting factoids here
I personally think Project Veritas and Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch they're both an arm of the Q group. Maybe not directly, maybe not like in meetings or whatever, but their releases, Tom Fitton with his Freedom of Information Act stuff, and Project Veritas with their videos, they're too perfectly timed with everything else, and they just magically have the next pieces of the puzzle sometimes. So very curious to see what that is tomorrow.
So I'm just going to review some of these questions because, as you know me, if you watch the show, I always miss it because I'm in my own world. And we have JS Pomp on deck, and just stand by there, JS. Here, Robert Youngblood again, who's on fire tonight. There was a bar shooting in California, in Southern California. I can't remember where, and some of the victims were victims from the Las Vegas shooting. Another bizarre coincidence. When did this happen?
Yeah, this was it was a country bar. It was really weird. That was another one that
Was this years ago or not?
This is about a year ago.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a country western bar. It was really weird because the interviews that they did afterwards with people, some of them were from the Las Vegas shooting. Yeah, if you want to get, this is one of those weird topics, but that particular shooting had one of the mothers that was interviewed afterwards that to me, I believe, is a crisis actor that we've seen
absolutely
multiple times before. One of those people that plays several roles.
Yeah, the Meryl Streeps
and
of all these events.
The bad acting sticks out, and it's just weird. The people they interviewed, it didn't make sense. It was a bar, but one of the people they interviewed was
okay.
Looked like she was 12 years old coming out of the bar.
Yeah, that was very weird indeed. And Heather Daniels says, I think it's been Hot Springs, Colorado Springs. That is in Texas. I believe I went to that church. Pre-record playout. Okay, cool. Yeah, Jess, stand by there. Continuing, how do you feel? I'm going to answer some of these questions, and I'll be very honest with everybody. Building 7, Building 6 of 9/11. Well, I mean, to stand there or sit here and say that Building 7 was not a controlled demolition is exactly what you were referring to.
Yeah.
And if I'll tell you what, let me go a little further because I'm feeling pretty good tonight. If you're going to tell this audience or anybody here that Building 7 fell down in its own footprint because of some pesky office fires or something fell on that building, then I got one word for you, and it rhymes with Bill. It's called shill.
Yeah. I mean, at this point,
That's right.
You know, it was hard psychologically to watch people look at reality and say they didn't see it. And it's easier to understand now that you see how big the deep state cabal is, and that half of how they work is through psychology. That's through half of what they do is to mess with us and put us in false reality.
Right.
And, you know, there's some interviews of, I don't know if you saw this one, but during 9/11, it was somebody on the street who was on the ground and
Willie Rodriguez
and looked up and watched the explosion happen, and they saw no plane, but they said basically that there were people there on the street ready to gaslight them and tell them, no, I was watching it. It was a plane. I saw a plane.
Same thing with the Kennedy event. They had those same people, the crisis actors. And I believe I saw a crisis actor in Las Vegas who was just literally standing there waiting for the press. And I interviewed him, and he still wanted to interview me again. And I said, I think I got to go.
Well, the number of times they've been caught wearing a Masonic hat or a T-shirt or a necklace too.
It's weird. It's
for
very
the
weird.
Interviews after one of those events is.
So here we have a Mojave Pocahontas says, I want to honestly know, Dean, how you feel about Alex Jones. Well, that's a very big question because initially I used to be very angry at him many, many years ago, because of the way I exited that establishment. And I kind of have a better understanding of what happened now than I did at the time. And, I was kind of going through a hard time in my own life, back then, 7 years ago. But what I feel about him, without getting too much into it, I don't know how much into it. It's just too long. I will say, from a business standpoint of now having to run a media operation, I believe I've even told you this, is, and I'll throw in Mike Adams there too. I actually have I have some respect in what it takes to start a business like this or a media operation where you're doing video, literature, illustrations, admin, clerical,
a lot of work.
marketing, and then you got to employ people, or it's just
and
so
we all
much.
know that right now, just keeping up with the news is a full-time job.
Exactly.
So.
And I'm literally, I'm like by myself here, in a sense, doing this. editing. The editing is hard, you know, and I don't do half-ass. I don't go half-ass when I edit. You know, I can easily put in an 8-hour, 10-hour workday in just editing alone. And so I have a respect for guys that have come before me that are slightly a little older, but so hopefully that answers it. And other than that, I mean, you know what, Alex has been pretty beat up, and you know, it's kind of showing. He's been through a lot personally in his life, and I wouldn't want to add any more stress or ill will towards him, to a guy who has literally lost a lot in the fight of censorship, and a lot of people have lost a lot. So I don't really want to hurt any more people that have been hurt during this experience and this fight for freedom. I really don't want to do that anymore. Unless they're palm readers that have Miss Chloe next to them claiming they know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I'll just make that little pop there. Anyways, so I think that's.
I can say, because I've got.
Oh yeah. You go ahead.
I saw somebody else. No. I just saw somebody else post on here like, I've got a problem with Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, and I agree with that.
Oh, okay.
Both of them
was Joe Rogan? Yeah. Was that one of the questions?
No. I just saw somebody comment there. Just threw the two of them in together. But I'm in the same boat. I don't have any history with that. It's weird in the Q community. I know a lot of people are torn on Alex Jones because for a lot of them, he was their gateway to like waking up. And so they have a really hard time now thinking that he might not have the best intentions. But I personally, from watching him, I don't trust him, but it doesn't matter. That's neither here nor there.
Right. I think his biopic one day is going to be a hell of a movie. I think so. Anyways, Robert Youngblood said again, just like the Oklahoma City bombing is never talked about anymore. You know, that's a very good point. That was 1995. Actually, I'm friends with one of the makeup artists of the governor of Oklahoma at the time, who was putting makeup on the governor for a photo shoot and interview. And she said she already knew about the bombing that was going to happen the next day. And if you look at the wonderful documentary called The Noble Lie, it really talks about how all the FBI and the ATF were occupying all the hotels around the federal building for the Oklahoma bombing days prior to it going down. And McVeigh is nothing more, nothing less than a patsy.
Yeah. Do you know what the purpose of that was, Oklahoma?
Yes, I do. What it was,
I've heard something, but I've investigated it so little. I'm just curious what you.
So if you want to go back to, there was a real buildup in the 90s of militia types. They were preparing for an invasion of a UN or some kind of big event, which really did happen. I mean, you look at 1993, you look at the World Trade Center bombings, and now it didn't go right. So you saw kind of a sovereignty movement begin in the 90s. You saw a buildup of militias. And so what the Clintons tried to do is first of all, they didn't want homeschooling. They want to own the kids. So they demonized Waco and tied the homeschooling and the sovereignty movement to that, then did the same thing to anyone that was in a militia was automatically a Timothy McVeigh or a Unabomber or that type. So it was, in my view, and I'm sure maybe there's probably more angles to it, but from what I see, is it was a demonization of the well-regulated militias around the United States. So that's how I saw that. And somebody said that I opened for them, and my band opened for them in Hollywood years ago. I'm trying to find that. Comment, because that is fascinating. If that's the case, that they found me here. And that is true. I used to play at the Whiskey a Go-Go in Hollywood, and I played at the Viper Room often, and many places in a band, and also with with live fashion events that I produced, which had bands in them. It was a really good show. Anyways, I think we're pretty much at the end of the road here, as Boys to Men would say. And is there any final thoughts, comments, or concerns? Our residential Q historian, Matt, what are your final thoughts, concerns, inquiries as we now are officially, I believe, officially the middle of December here in the last 2 weeks of 2020, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And we haven't even really, I remember being in December at this point in time in all my years of life, I've always reflecting, like, oh, what a year. I remember July, like eating watermelon in the park, or, spring, or you try to remember January, but I haven't even done that yet.
Yeah.
Because this ain't over yet.
Yeah.
So with that said, what are your, Julius. Yeah, 107, he had a last minute call to work, and he does something very high level, so he couldn't make it today. So, hey, it wasn't my fault. I put him in the title. People blame me for whatever. So anyways, go ahead.
Thoughts for the end of the year?
Yeah, thoughts for the end of the year. Deep thoughts. I'm
in a weirdly confident place now. I can see so many pieces of the puzzle laying out in front of us. And I have no fear that the election things, it's Trump. Trump won. I'm not even afraid of that. I don't know the exact path by which it'll happen because there's several of them. And I think that's kind of the point, is there are several. And in the meantime, the world needs to see all this evidence of fraud. And then we've got all the China stuff coming up. And we've got the executive order on Friday that comes to fruition, the 45-day window.
Yeah, what's the executive order? I'm sorry.
The DNI gives Trump no later than 45 days after the election. So the executive order on foreign election interference that was signed 2 years ago.
Interesting, yeah.
So it
had
two. Well, it technically could have already happened, and we don't know about it. So the way it reads is it says within 45 days of the election, the DNI gives a report to Trump. So that deadline is Friday.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be a big deal.
Yeah, that's a big deal because look at all the pieces laying around for China. They're all laying there. All the Dominion stuff, all the stuff with Solar Wind, all the stuff with Eric Swalwell, this list of 200 million CCP members. Yeah, it's all laying right in front of us, and Trump knew. That's why he wrote an executive order on foreign election interference to begin with. It's just, to me, it's not an accident. And so I don't think this can possibly go past, inauguration day, but I'd even say less than that. I think by Christmas, I'm just going to say in the next 10 days, we're going to see things that are going to completely change the direction of everything. And if not, then I'll move it to the inauguration date, because I don't think we're not going to go past that. There's no way this is just going to nothing's going to come of this. What I see more than anything, it's I know a lot of people want to be on the boat of if we're going to do this and we're going to win and we're going to take control, we want to do it today. We want to do it right now.
Right now.
We want to have the evidence this moment. And the more I look, the more I see that this part of the story is about exposure. It's about showing who's a Republican but not standing up for Trump. It's about showing who's staring at election fraud and telling you that they don't see it. Who is, saying that it's fine for Eric Swalwell to have these relationships with the Chinese spy, but we're going to impeach Trump over a phone call.
Yeah.
It's
a very impolite phone call.
Yeah. So to me, what I see now is exposure. We're all being allowed to see everything that doesn't make sense and is corrupt. And just as important, we're being made to see which people claim they don't see it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's really highlighting the total low IQ'd, ill-informed or uninformed family and friends all over the city, wherever you may reside. And it really is disappointing for some. But if you're like me and you just keep people of like-minded close to you, and those that are not as far away as can be, then you really don't have a problem. So it's really shunning the ones who've shunned us all these years and decades. If that, it's the karma police coming for them now, because it's their time to pay the piper. So that is a really hard act to follow there. I think you're right on the money, Matt. And, I guess my final thought here, and I think there's a few people I want to say hello to that showed up today. I do want to say a good evening to Mr. Warren Colombo And hello to you, and thank you for joining us. And I'll bring in JS Pop here in a minute to play us out. I also want to tell Angie again, our dearest condolences and thoughts and prayers are with you and your family, and we are sorry for your loss. And we just are so blessed to have you join us all the way from over the pond for almost every show now. So you're a big part of this Real Deal family as we go forward. And that's just, I think that's, I've said hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Ms. Heather Daniel, Julie Size, Tara Leavitt, of course, our very own Uncle Tifa, Darren Bryn, blessings, and Miss Ashley J. And I'm in Seattle. I have good info. Darren says he has good info. Yeah, please let me know, Darren. Email me. Let me see if I have that. My email should be back up tonight. Just insanity has ensued. And just a quick reminder, too, if you have thoroughly enjoyed what you saw, well, this should be up and running tonight, Darren. If it's not, and I do apologize, keep doing it until I respond to you and reply. If you thoroughly enjoyed tonight's Real Deal After Party with my dear friend here, my Rhodes Scholar, from Harvard University. No, I'm kidding. We're calling him in jest, in a sense, of our Q historian. But Matt is one of the most resilient minds I've met in a long time. But I think that's what 2020 is all about, of not just shunning the bad, but discovering the good, the resilient, if you will.
Yeah.
So I give you kudos to that. So
I'm very dialed into the positive timeline. So
absolutely, yeah. You're,
and I as a Q person, I know the whole trust the plan thing. People get down on us for that, but I just want to be clear. At no point have I ever just trusted the plan because Q says trust the plan.
Right.
I personally trust the plan because I can see the common threads. I can see the gameplay at work. And I can see that someone has taken extreme measures to make this a psychological war that we fight. Instead of a physical war. And I'm like grateful for that every day, because, while that guy said that, and one of the videos you played that, this was the first shot of World War III, that actually happened years ago. And, the first shot of World War III, could have been Trump coming down the escalator, or, any number of, this started secretly. We've been in a secret war for years. Yeah. And, I'm very grateful we're in a secret war for a lot of reasons. Psychologically, it's really rough when, so many people around us are telling us they can't see what we see. But I'm just grateful there's not a real war. And so.
Sure, absolutely. And I'll finish by saying, just on a positive note, yes, if you're enjoying what you see, you want to see more of this kind of discussion, this kind of interaction, engaging, intellectual, these fruitful thoughts of just high vibrations, positivity, with elements of darkness and reality and undertones of heavy metal, and really just smooth jazz if you want to get down to it. So please feel free to donate to paypal.me /TheRealDeanRyan. It keeps this operation going because this is the end of the year. I've had some trip ups, as everyone knows. It's very well documented. I don't have to go into that, but we're going to reignite and restart everything, relaunch going into 2021. But I think in the meanwhile, as our dearest beloved Fetzer used to say, in the meanwhile, I'm going to be with you as much as I can, and probably in the live sense, because if I were to do a pre-record, and I pose the question on my YouTube community page, pre-record or live, by the time you do a pre-record, you edit it. There's like brand new breaking news. So we're going to have to just do this live to finish off the year. And I just want to say, that's so. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, you want to see more, and you want to see more of Kristen Megan and Mr. Sean, so feel free to donate. And also, I have a new shirt. I have a new Christmas hoodie. You're going to love it. It should be in realdealmedia.com /shop. And it's called Grim Donald's Merry Christmas. It's called Grim Donald's Christmas. And it should be up. If not, it'll be by tonight, I guarantee you. And I'll be able to display it tomorrow, provided we're here and all that. So it's really cool stuff. I think you'll enjoy it. But anyways, that went a little longer than I wanted. just to close it off real quick, I said it once, and tomorrow's never promised, and it's never promised next week. So we live to the fullest here. And, I interviewed somebody right here in this studio, I believe Saturday. Her name was Denise. And as soon as she left this, she was in a almost fatal car accident. And I can't believe it. It's still shaking me to the core right now as I talk about it. So we never know what's going to happen, but I know whatever happens, we're going to be here fighting like hell to protect what's ours, the ones we love, and the people we love seeing every day, and that's you. So from the bottom of my heart, from Matt's heart, I want to thank everyone for joining us here all day today. The Real Deal Report earlier and the Real Deal after party. And if you only knew how much this means to me and how much everyone who's been with me since the beginning of this event 201, you would totally understand. It's truly sincere. And I want to bring in Jazz Pop to play us out. And God bless everybody. Be safe, be well, be good.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do, since it's 17 degrees here, is I'm going to play a track that I recorded live on Real Deal Media previously. And Dean, mute your mic so everyone can hear the music. I also want to encourage everyone to go to realdealmedia.com and buy yourself a Christmas present. Because it's that time of year where everyone's income kind of whittles down, and it's probably more appreciated than any other time of the year. Can you guys hear the music? If you can hear the music, let me know. That's right. Go to realdealmedia.com. It's a great site. Excellent articles, excellent videos, and excellent products to buy.